Hello everyone, welcome to Arduino's Forest. Today we're going to be making this beautiful log fairy house from a jar. So far I've taken a piece of foil and kind of formed a base for my jar, covered it in polymer clay, and of course laid the jar on its side. And then you want to cover the entire jar with more polymer clay. Now as you can see, one end is open and the other end I've put a little owl that I made, but I really don't like it, so I'm going to change it to a stained glass window later. But you could really put anything there in that part of the jar that you would like. Now I'm creating the ragged edge of the log. You just need to make a strip and kind of manipulate that one side and then just blend the other side in. And I'm going to do this on both sides of the jar. You don't have to blend your seams too smoothly because we're going to be adding a wood grain texture later. To make this stained glass window, I just used different colored Sharpies on a sheet of transparent clay, but I'll show you that in another video. It looks really nice though when you put a little candle inside. You'll be able to see that through there. Using a snake of clay that I've rolled out to the proper thickness, I'm just pressing that against the glass at the end to cover that part there. Just using a pointy tool to add wood grain texture. If you don't have a pointy tool, anything will work, like a toothpick, for example. Using a round cutter to cut the door and the back window. You can use any shape. You can freehand it, just whatever your style is. I cut out a circle of the same size and textured it with the same wood grain to make the door. twisting 2 snakes of clay together, make a beautiful little braid for the door frame. And don't forget the doorknob. Using a smaller cutter, I make some tiny windows in various places. Using more little snakes of clay to build in the window frame. And adding wood grain texture. To make the wood grain texture on the walls of the log house, I first make some grooves that are a little bit deeper and kind of line up a little bit with the scallops I put on the edges. And then I'll go back in between and add some more of those grooves, but just a little bit lighter and not quite so deep as you see here. To add some more detail, you can use a different color clay, or you can continue to use black. I generally use black most of the time because I love to paint with mica powders and metallic flakes, and that really gives a good contrast. But sometimes it's nice to throw in a few odd colors here and there, especially when you're working with items that represent nature. Adding the details is where you can really make your piece one of a kind. I cut leaves from a small strip of clay. If you have a cutter, you can certainly use that, but sometimes when you're making so many leaves, it's easier to just cut them all out. I like to paint them with these metallic flakes, and I put them on the leaves before putting them on the house. That way I don't get so much flyaway flakes on the house itself. Then it's just a matter of attaching them to your vines. I'm not very skilled with acrylic paints, so I really like to paint my pieces before I bake them. My favorite mica powder is Pearl X, but you can use any mica powder to include just regular eyeshadow. Just scrape it into a little powder, and it's almost exactly the same thing that you see me painting with right here. This powder sticks to the clay really well, and it holds after it bakes, although especially with the metallic flakes, it's really good to put a varnish on there just to keep it from rubbing off. Another thing I love about these mica powders is how long they last. These jars of Pearl X have lasted me 8 or 9 years, and I use them almost every single piece that I make. So it really lasts a long time and goes a long way. Other things you can use if you also struggle to master acrylic painting are chalk pastels. you just scrape the powder off of the chalk itself and then use that. It doesn't show up so well on black, but it works really well on lighter colors of polymer clay. It leaves a very pale color after it's baked, but you can also use iron oxide powders, and those give a little bit more vibrancy to the clay once it's baked. Thank you for watching. I hope you learned at least one thing today to help you on your polymer clay journey. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments and I promise to answer. See you next time.